Hello, BookTube. Sorry to disappoint all you wags out there who just assumed that I would be going back to the Brattle Bookshop today. I did not. I exercised self-control. Surely it is not necessary for someone who's always complaining about having too many books to go to the same used bookstore 3 days in a row. Surely that is not necessary. So I didn't. Instead, the Bean and I have been enjoying a beautiful, temperate day that until just a minute ago, just when I started filming, which is the signal to the gods, was bright and sunny. Just a lovely, beautiful day. Big, gigantic blob. Talk about blob watch. Big, gigantic blob of a weather system is headed this way. Directly this way. And it's big. If it turns out to be real, which, radar is impersonal. It's not looking for clicks or ratings. This system is definitely there. If it turns out to be real, it could dump 2 days of rain on Boston in a day or so. This might actually be the outer edge of that. It might be just that big. But it was a lovely kind of shirt sleeves day, which was great. The Bean and I exhausted ourselves on one of our longer afternoon walks, and she had so much fun. I swear, I love it because we both love it because it's not physically painful to be out there in the freezing cold. But she loves it especially because a warm and temperate day means that people will be out. She doesn't care about dogs at all, but she very much cares about human beings, runs right up to them, wants you to come down to her level so that you can fuss over her and pet her and ruffle her fur and let her kiss your face and let her cat curl all over you and also let her offer lots of editorial comment on whatever you're doing and stick her nose into whatever you're doing. She loves doing that, loves it. And so, my own preference for dog walks, especially the day's big, long dog walk, is to go out in the wilderness. To go out in the woods and fields and streams and that sort of thing. That's my own preference. I've had most of the dogs that I've had have preferred that. But I know that she likes it best when the walk is very people-heavy. So every walk that we've done so far today has been out and about in these quiet little shady suburban streets where the street itself is 15 feet wide. There is no traffic ever. And during the middle of the day, most people are away at work. Most kids are away at school. But there will be people puttering around in their yards or getting their gardens ready for spring. Some construction crews, delivery people will be in and about on sidewalks, and they are all fair game for Frida. She stops every one of them. I lost track. Just on one walk this afternoon, I lost track of how many times I heard from total strangers saying to Frida, "Oh, you're awful friendly, aren't you?" She is awful friendly. Once you get past the cognitive dissonance, because when she sees someone that she wants to be friendly to, she starts a deep-throated, rasping growl down in her belly, the kind of thing that you automatically associate with a dog who's about to try to rip your entrails out. That's exactly what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like a friendly bark or a friendly growl at all. It sounds like she's going to kill you or try to. I have no idea why she makes that sound and no other sound, but many people have been around her now. She is a well-traveled little dog. Many people have been around her now and have actually heard for themselves that I'm not exaggerating. It sounds like she is a vicious dog. But anyway, I did not go to the Brattle. Okay? Instead, I just got a bunch of packages in the mail. So we'll go through those and see what they have to offer. See if there are any Steve squealing items. One particular item that I'm waiting for in the mail. It's a month overdue, so I don't think it's going to get here. But okay, this first one is a novel from the folks at Astra House. This comes out in late May. I actually kind of don't mind this cover. This is a novel called Mood Swings by Frankie Barnett. There is a novel on the Plastic Horses cover. Let's see here. In a pre-apocalyptic world not unlike our own, well, yes, okay. A young Instagram poet starts an affair with a California billionaire who's promised a time machine that will make everything normal again, whatever that means. A whip-smart, absurdly funny debut novel. Oh, good. Oh, great. This is a debut novel. Fantastic. Everyone knows something's off, but nobody can agree on just what it is. Yes, they can. Yeah, I know this is just This is just the publicity fluff for a novel, a debut novel. But everyone has this feeling, and everyone can identify exactly what it is. It has a name. It has a first name and a last name. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe everyone's just so damn sensitive these days. Or maybe it's because the animals of the world have finally had enough, besieging towns and cities and terrorizing their human residents. Jenlina and her best friend Daphne are two humanities grads in their early 20s, trying to find their way in a society that has just eradicated all animals for the safety of humanity. In the post-fauna world, Jenlina transforms from an aspiring poet to a gig worker, capitalizing on other people's grief by selling houseplants that have come to replace pets, and cosplaying as dogs for pay. Meanwhile, Daphne, a once promising student, flounders in a deep depression, smoking weed and ditching work to hang out with her once famous, now cancelled boyfriend. When Jenlina meets the California billionaire Roderick Mave, and the two become romantically entangled, she is exposed to a new understanding of wealth, power, and gender economy, just as the world hurtles towards its alleged salvation. Marked with Frankie Barnett's poignant intelligence and sly sense of humor, this book is a standout debut novel that imagines with pitch-perfect absurdity what comes after life as we know it. Okay. All right. Okay. I gotta confess, I had objections hovering all around me, but as I was reading that, but I'm kind of on board with this, and this is soon. This comes out soon. So do we want to read about our author? Oh, God, help us. Okay. Sarah at the Bookish Knitter will be happy because she is posing with a black cat. So what have we got here? Frankie Barnett is the author of a story collection, An Indoor Kind of Girl. Okay, so she's... this is not her first bite at the apple of fiction. This is just her first novel. Okay. And she's also the author of the forthcoming graphic novel, Kim, A Novel Idea, both from Metatron Press in Canada. Her fiction has been published in such places as Joyland, Event Magazine, Prism International, Washington Square Review, and the Best Canadian Stories anthology in both 2016 and 2019. And she has an MFA from Syracuse University and lives in Montreal. Okay, we should brace ourselves for a lot of novels like this. These are novels that are rather unironically being written by authors who spend all day on social media when they should be spending all day at their writing desks. So I don't know what that's going to do to the writing chops, but it's bound to make bits and pieces of the books interesting anyway. We shall see. We shall see. It's coming out soon. Let's see here. Let's do the next. We've got 2 boxes here, so let's do the next Miller envelope, and we'll get to that. This thing's fairly heavy. I don't know what that is. Could it be a great big book? Ooh, it is a great big book. Okay, all right. What have we got here? Always up for a great big book. Oh, fantastic. Tell me, sing me. This is almost 1,000 pages long. This comes out in May. Oh, I'm going to get to this right away. I'm going to put this on the list tonight. Unless the boxes supplant it. This is going on the list tonight. This is by Greg Iles. This is the new book by Greg Iles, Southern Man. Look at that. How incredible. Okay, what have we got here? This is the hugely anticipated new Penn Cage novel by the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Natchez Burning Trilogy and Cemetery Road, about a man and a town rocked by anarchy and tragedy, but unbowed in the fight to save those they love. 15 years after the events of the Natchez Burning Trilogy, which I cannot recommend strongly enough. I cannot recommend those books strongly enough. Penn Cage is alone. Nearly all his loved ones are dead, his old allies are gone, and he carries a mortal secret that separates him from the world. But Penn's exile comes to an end when a brawl at a Mississippi rap festival triggers a bloody mass shooting, one that nearly takes the life of his daughter Annie. Oh, so is that... Okay, so how dependent is this going to be on the Natchez trilogy? Because it shouldn't be. It's a lot. That's a big ask of new readers. That hey, there's this trilogy you have to familiarize yourself with, especially if the books aren't small. As the stunned cities of Natchez and Bienville reel, antebellum plantation homes continue to burn, and the deadly attacks are claimed by a black radical group as historic acts of justice. Panic sweeps through the tourist communities, driving them inexorably towards a race war. But that might have been only a regional sideshow of the 2024 presidential election as it explodes into national prominence thanks to the stunning ascent of Robert E. Lee White, a Southern war hero who seizes the public imagination as a third-party candidate. Dubbed the TikTok Man and funded by an eccentric Mississippi billionaire, Bobby White rides the glory of his Special Forces record to an unprecedented run at the White House, one unseen since the campaign of H. Ross Perot. Okay, Greg Iles, you're not doing yourself any favors here. H. Ross Perot was effectively 150 years ago. To triumph over the National Party machines, Bobby evolves a plan of unimaginable daring. One fateful autumn weekend, with White set to declare his candidacy in all 50 states, the forces polarizing America line up against one another. Black versus white, state versus the federal government, democracy versus fascism. Teaming with his fearless daughter, now a civil rights lawyer, and a former Black Panther who spent most of his life in Parchman Prison, Penn tears into Bobby White's pursuit of the presidency and ultimately risks a second civil war to try to expose White's motivation to the world before the America of our Constitution slides into the abyss. Good Lord. In this book, Greg Iles returns to the riveting style and historical depth that made the Natchez Burning trilogy a searing masterpiece and hurls the narrative 15 years forward to our own current moment, where America itself teeters on the brink of anarchy. Okay, all right, I need to get the Natchez trilogy, obviously, and reread them. I don't know if I even have them as ebooks. I don't know if I do. Okay, so this is going to be ripped from the headlines kind of novel. The forces that are polarizing America line up against one another. Black versus white, states versus the federal government, democracy versus fascism. But only one of those is polarizing the country, and that is democracy versus fascism. And the fascism has a face and a name. It has a first name and a last name. None of those forces are at each other's throats. None of them are polarized against each other except that one. Except that one. And that one is only there because one individual person put it there and is keeping it there. So it's not like we're talking about, massive impersonal social forces. We're talking about one person. But good Lord. Okay. Well, I'm totally on board for this. This comes out in late May. Why am I getting a galley copy instead of a finished copy? Well, I will get on to the publishers right away and try to make sure that I'm on the list for a finished copy. I'm definitely going to want that because this isn't going to hold up. And I need to check for the Natchez books. Wow. Okay. Very good. Southern Man by Greg Iles. Fantastic. I'm really hoping we're told that Robert E. Lee White has a secret. That his meteoric rise to bid for the presidency, that his secret has nothing to do with his record, that he has a special forces record. I'm really hoping that his secret is some atrocity in his special forces record rather than simply being his name. I'm really hoping that the big reveal is that he bulldozed a village rather than that he's a racist with the name Robert E. Lee White. I'm really hoping it's not that simple. With this author, I'm probably in the clear. But you never know. In the 21st century, you never know. Anyway, let's move on. Wow, that's something. So we have a twee-sounding debut novel, and also a gigantic magnum opus from an author I really, really like. So that's quite the contrast. Let's see what this next one is. Uh-oh, this went to the wrong person. Oh, goodness. I thought I had trained Princeton University Press. This comes out in late May. I don't even know if I'm going to understand the pub sheet. This is by Patrick Bolton and Haizu Huang, and it is called Money Capital, New Monetary Principles for a More Prosperous Society. I have a guy. I know a guy, as the old New York saying goes. I got a guy who will do this. Okay, well, this is by Paul. Okay, this is a little odd. Huh. That is the cover of the book. But the pub sheet says the author is Paul Seabright. So who is Paul Seabright when he's at home? He's not listed as the author here. It must just be a misprint. A conventional economic theory, monetarism, holds that inflation is a monetary phenomenon driven by changes in the supply of money. And already everyone who's watching this video is thinking, David Murphy! Yet recent experience, including the aftermath of the financial crisis of 2008 and the economic development of China, contradicts this basic prediction. Does it? I'm no expert, but I think, aren't you leaving out something rather important that causes the contradiction? In this book, leading economists Patrick Bolton and Haizhu Huang offer a novel perspective, viewing monetary economics through the lens of corporate finance. They propose a richer theory, where money can be seen as the equity capital of a nation, playing a similar role as stocks for a company. This innovative framework integrates the real and monetary sides of the economy with a banking sector and debt at its core. In the financial world, companies issue new shares only if it results in some kind of value creation. This is a basic principle of corporate finance that Bolton and Huang argue can be applied to monetary economics. When the government increases the money supply to finance positive net value investments, when it prints money to keep the economy going, it increases output, not inflation. Okay, this is evidenced by the strong growth in GDP and money in China over the last 4 decades, and in the United States during World War II. Okay, all right, okay. I'm going to need David to assess this, because I can't assess it on my own. To me, that sounds like arrant nonsense. Both of those claims sound like arrant nonsense. What did it say? Strong growth in GDP and money in China over the last 4 decades. Right, and what about now? What about now? As Lloyd Benson said, a vice president made a long time ago, if I wrote a whole bunch of false checks, I could create the illusion of prosperity too. What about now? What about China's economy now? Its indicators now are nothing less than apocalyptic. So, and also, the United States during World War II, it's just possible that that's not a normal economy. I don't know. Maybe these people are right on. I'll need David to talk to me about it. Or rather, I'll have to beg him not to talk to me about it. The effect of increasing money supply, they argue, depends on how money enters the system and what the money buys. Okay, but are you increasing money supply if you print more money? Or are you increasing more paper? Are you increasing the amount of paper printed money and deflating its value? The principle outlined by the author shed new light on a range of issues, including inflation, monetary and fiscal policy, central banking, money and growth, and the international monetary system. Okay, I thought this was that things like this would go automatically to David Murphy. I'll have to send him this. I have 1 or 2 books that I have to send him anyway. So I will add this to the pile. So who are the authors? I'm assuming they have economic bona fides. Patrick Bolton is a professor of finance at Imperial College London and senior advisor to the Lazard Climate Center. And Haizhu Huang is a special term professor of finance at both the Shanghai Advanced Institute of Finance at Shanghai University and the PBOC School of Finance at Tsinghua University. And they've both written books. Okay, all right, fine. Money Capital. Coming soon. I know you're eager. Then we'll move on to this last one here, which is oversized. The box is oversized. It's either more than one book or it's something special. It's something special. Okay, this comes out in early May. Oh, it's wrapped in plastic. Oh, we don't want that. Let's open this right away. Which I will just do with my finger, since I don't have to worry about agonizing paper cuts like the rest of you do. This comes out in early May. What have we got here? Oh my God. Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh my God. I thought it was a metaphor, but it's not. This is by Armin Scheib, and it is called The Ant Collective, Inside the World of an Ant Colony. That's not a photograph. That's original artwork on the cover there. Ants share a vibrant and complex communal life and remarkable abilities to communicate with each other. I know this for a fact. I have lost track in my life of how many times I have become completely absorbed by watching an ant colony. I've done this in probably 5 different continents. Watching an ant colony, simply lost in contemplation, watching what they do. At first, it's a welter of chaos with ants everywhere. But the more you watch, if you watch for maybe 20 minutes, you will realize it is anything but chaos. There is, in fact, no chaos involved at all. Which, if you watch a big crowd of humans coming and going in Grand Central Station, you'll see lots of predictable patterns of movement, but you will see chaos as well. But not in an ant colony. Nothing like that at all. And it's fascinating how sensitive they are. How willing, how able they are to change their plans, their long-term intentions, at a moment's notice in order to address a present crisis. And they cooperate with each other to do it. For instance, if I'm watching an ant colony and just lost and studying, I also love studying bees on flowers, collecting pollen on flowers. That also is just fascinating. But ants are even more so. If I'm watching an ant colony and I lose track of time and suddenly, while I'm watching them, my shadow falls on the ant colony, they change their behavior. They notice that. But anyway, let's go on here. This book presents the world of ants as you have never seen it before, using hyper-realistic, computer-generated imagery that shows 3D-like views of activities inside and outside a thriving nest of red wood ants. With chapters on topics ranging from the establishment and construction of the nest to the birth of an ant trail and the relocation of a colony, this one-of-a-kind book brilliantly integrates informative descriptions with the illustrations, drawing on the latest science to reveal the innermost workings of the colony and enabling you to explore the ant collective as if you were there. And the author studied illustration at HIVE Hamburg in Germany and lives and works in Hamburg as a freelance illustrator. Notice what's missing from that biography. Any expertise with ants. So where is the expository material? I'm going to show you inside this thing because it's unbelievable. But where is the expository material coming from? Did this guy just study it on its own? The pub sheet makes mention of the latest science. But he's an illustrator, not an ant expert. So I'm curious to know where that comes from. But the book is... take a look at the artwork that he does here. So you get things going on. Let me get a clearer example here. You get things going on, and then an explanation of what is happening in those illustrations. The illustrations are incredible. They're just incredible. Here you've got ants coming and going, following trails, and also returning with forage. And you get these things as well. So not everything is a full page color photograph or illustration like this thing. That's just incredible. But you also get this. Illustrations, more like diagrams, describing what's going on in the broader scale of things with a detail that you can't really see in here. Although, look, you'll get specific details will be hyper-analyzed on every page. Oh my God, this is just incredible. Here they are. Here are a bunch of red ants fighting a giant beetle. Which they, again, do cooperatively, including, here they are fighting bees. Goodness gracious. Ants will fight enemies cooperatively, including some will select themselves as fatal sacrifices if the situation warrants it. And they assess the situation in order to know whether or not it warrants it. So one ant or 2 ants will select themselves. It doesn't appear that they're ordered to do so. They'll select themselves as, I'm going to make a dash here, knowing that it will probably get me killed and give you an opening. Oh man. Okay, all right, sorry. I will stop blabbering now. This comes out as a $25 hardcover. Considering what you're getting here, that's pretty cheap. That's pretty much the cost of, almost the cost of a trade paperback these days. Considering what you're getting, that's really, really good. So this comes out as a $25 hardcover in the first week of May. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Like I've said many, many times before, I love my job. So, so that is it. That is our mail haul. Wow. Okay. So we have the Ant Collective. I said that the Greg Isles was going on the list for tonight unless one of the box things supplanted it. This thing is a half an hour to read, but it is definitely going on the list tonight. I couldn't care less about its publication date. This will not be going on the list tonight. This will be going on a pile to mail out to David Murphy priority mail so that he gets it before its pub date, which would be great. Then we have a gigantic book from Greg Isles. I don't know how many of you know the Natchez books. Those of you who do, I'm sure, are celebrating the appearance of this book, the announcement of it, Southern Man. I'm sure you're just plain celebrating. This is an author to celebrate. And finally, a debut novel, Mood Swings, about a post-fauna world where the non-human animals on Earth have finally had enough and rise up against humanity, and humanity has to banish them. Of course, if that happened, it would be humanity that would get banished, keeping in mind something that I bet our author doesn't keep in mind, which is this. If the insects that are near you right now, while you're watching this video, you are being watched by lots and lots of insects, and they are just the outliers of the hundreds or even thousands of insects that just live in your home. I'm not talking about the ones that live in the yard or in the next home over. I'm talking just about the ones that live in your home. I'm pretty sure that the author is not including them when she writes about animals rising up against their human masters, because it wouldn't be much of a contest. But anyway, that's the mail for today. Distinct highlights, a couple of distinct highlights to take the sting out of not going to the Brattle today, because I did not go to the Brattle today. And if the weather forecasts, if the weather information, if Blob Watch is correct, then I'm not going to want to go to the Brattle. I mean, the Brattle sale lot is why I go to the shop. And the Brattle sale lot is tarped over and closed over and bolted over if it's raining. And it could be raining for Thursday and Friday. So, and I don't like to go to the Brattle on the weekend, so it'll be next week that I would go again, in case you wags are still wondering. So I'll wrap this up for now. That was the mail. I think more mail is coming, but not the thing I want. Although, maybe I can live with that. When I'm getting great stuff like this in the mail, I could probably live with that. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.